Welcome to Chiefs Blitz, new YouTube channel, podcast, whatever they call it these days. As you remember me, my name is Nick Athen, former publisher of Warpaint Illustrated. Did that for 13 years. Decided to come out of retirement because I think I was missing the boat on the Patrick Mahomes era. It's great to be back. Had a terrific response to the opening of the website, www.chiefsblitz.com. Social media, you can still hit me at Chiefs Insider, also at Chiefs Blitz. A YouTube channel you can see below. Please subscribe. This is our very first show, working on a lot of kinks and bugs. And again, super excited, really happy with the response, like I mentioned. And as you all know about me, I'm an old Chiefs diehard. I grew up with Bobby Bell and Hank Stram as my next door neighbors. Lenny Dawson and I were friends for almost 5 decades and knew him his entire life. And, now it's just a new era and a kind of new way of doing things, but we're super excited and, looking forward to it. So if you got any comments, any suggestions, let us know on social media. Happy to do it. Anybody wants to get involved in chiefsblitz.com, either from a writing perspective or wants to climb on these video podcasts, I'm all for it. We just want the voices to return. We want everybody to just kind of have a place like we did at Warpaint Illustrated and talk Chiefs. We'll go through the ups and the downs. Good news this go around, guys, is we don't really have to talk about a lot of the negative. A couple of things going on with the Chiefs right now that come a little bit of negative energy, but all things will sort out at the end of the day. But again, chiefsblitz.com. Thank you all for reaching out to me when we got started yesterday's launch. So with that, I'm going to bring in Hence Todd with Bowtie Productions. He is our producer. He is my partner. He is the guy that makes this thing spin. Makes me look like, makes me look good.
How everybody doing? So I am Hence Todd at Bowtie Sports LLC. You can find me on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, all the social media sites, on YouTube, and also with that. I'm here. I'm here to help this thing grow. I'm excited. I'm a big Chiefs fan. I love everything that about the Chiefs, the Patrick Mahomes era, even the Dick Vermeer era, and back in the days with, I'm just happy to get to see this thing grow. So today we have a lot of stuff that we've had to talk about. We have Chris Jones. He got the website that's going up. We got a lot of people that's going to be on the team to make this thing happen, to make this thing go. I'm just so excited to have this, to be a part of this, to get chosen to help this thing flourish itself. What you got to say?
Well, no, I appreciate it, man. I mean, you and I met a couple of weeks ago or a week ago. We had lunch with my 6-year-old, and he was pretty good. And Andre Tillman's going to be our co-host. He couldn't join us today to start. We'll be back Sunday, 4 o'clock Central Time. We'll recap the Chiefs' first game against the New Orleans Saints. Maybe Chris Jones will be on the sidelines. Maybe he'll be unhappy on the sidelines. Who knows? But again, I mean, the reason that we're partnering up is we kind of think the same, even though we've got a little generational gap. It's all good. We wanted to bring a different level. There's a lot of stuff on social media, a lot of websites out there. Listen, this is my 3rd Chiefs site. I think Warpaint, we did a pretty good job. I decided to retire before Patrick Mahomes was drafted. Yeah, probably wasn't very smart. But we decided to go on our own, and the job for me is, it's just finding good people to surround myself like we did at Warpaint Illustrated. And, Hence is top shelf. Andre's top shelf. They're going to be great contributors. We're going to do as many of these things as we can. We definitely need to get subscribers on YouTube. So just click the link below and hit that. And even though we haven't posted anything yet, we'll probably post this if we like it. So far, so good. But again, just going to be a safe place for Chiefs fans to air it out. Talk. We're going to have some former players involved. We're going to have some former Warpaint people involved. Some friends and associates I've gotten to know over the years are going to be part of the show and contributing. So again, we're starting from scratch. We're starting all over, but you got to start somewhere. So I'm just glad that we're working on this together.
It's gonna be a blast, guys. Like they said, a blast from the past. It's gonna be a real blast. Everybody gonna get to come on and seeing all the Chiefs fans come together and watch this thing grow. It's going to be a blessing to a lot that's going to be watching. Even the younger fans, as they all they know is Patrick Mahomes, but this is going to get them a chance to learn the people that came before Patrick Mahomes. Also, other people that's on the team that's contributing to the team, that's helping Patrick Mahomes' career grow. So, like he said, we're gonna have Andre Tillman on the show. He's gonna be a part of the show. Also, we're gonna have more people that's contributing, the writers and all the people that's seeing that's making this thing grow. It's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. And I'm a member of the 50-year club. I was in that 50-year waiting period between Super Bowl 4 and 54, so I have a lot of perspective, on what we all had to endure to go through that. But we don't have to anymore. I said, and I think you and I discussed this when we were getting to know each other. I told everybody, listen, the Chiefs won the Super Bowl again. It was 50 years. It may be another 50 years. I'm good. Okay, I'm good. I got my Super Bowl. I can't fit any more stuff in the man cave. This is a temporary man cave. Everything else is scattered. But, you don't take anything for granted. And one of the reasons why I wanted to get back involved in this, on a daily basis, was just because of that. Because, I've been through the ups and the downs. I've been through every single down this franchise has ever gone through, from its lowest point to its euphoria at Super Bowl 4, where I was sitting on my dad's shoulder at the municipal airport and the team came in, from winning the Super Bowl and high-fiving, Lamar Hunt and Hank Stram and Bobby Bell and Len Dawson. I remember all that stuff. Everything after that, we struggled. We never kind of went back to the promised land. A lot of different coaches, different GMs, got to know a lot of great people for 13 years at Warpaint Illustrated. So again, I just wanted to kind of bring back a good team of people, have some fun, not take ourselves too seriously, and just enjoy the process and build it. And hopefully we can build a great community. There's some other people that are going to be involved in some associations that we'll be announcing soon. But we're really excited. And one thing we're probably going to do too is we're going to get into memorabilia. We're going to let people talk about some of their favorite stuff. So I think it's going to be kind of cool. Obviously fantasy stuff. We're going to have people who affiliated with different teams around the country in the NFL that are going to be part of this. So just excited to bring it all. So today though, big news. Chris Jones posted a picture of him at the airport about an hour ago. And then on Twitter, he changed his profile to put a picture of Frank Clark up there.
What do that mean? And what is he trying to say there? And a lot of Chiefs fans are going ballistic right now. They're
freaking out. They're freaking out.
They go crazy. You seeing tweet after tweet, comment after comment. It's just like I'm more like, if it ain't Patrick Mahomes, it's everything is okay to me. Chris Jones, I think he's going to be here for the long term. These things happen. Been watching for years and come along. These things happen. He's looking for that big contract. He's looking for the big thing to be watching and want the more money, want to be the highest paid. But that's understandable. That's very understandable. And it for me, I think that's understandable for what he put out. I don't think we would won the Super Bowl without Chris Jones. I don't think we'll made it this far without Chris Jones. What you got to say about that?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think, a lot of people talked about his lack of, sacks in the postseason. And obviously, he made up for that against the Bengals with a couple of key sacks. But if you go back to Super Bowl 54, on that second to last possession of the 49ers, he sticks his hand up and bats 2 balls away. And those were huge plays, because on one of them, the Chiefs were going to get torched. Tight end was wide open. And I think people just don't understand what he means to this football team. And to me, you look at Chris and you look at his passion. I mean, he's crying on the sidelines after that Bengals thing. That's a guy that deeply cares and deeply believes in his team. And, he had a good Super Bowl. Obviously, the conditions weren't the best for both teams. Not just the Eagles, people. Stop. The Chiefs slipped just as much as the Eagles did in that football game. My God, it drives me crazy. And all these Eagles players still doing it. Cannot wait for that game at Arrowhead later this year. But, for Chris Jones, again, he likes the social media. He likes to banter with fans, stay strong, carry on. He's under contract. I'm not a fortune teller. He changes his profile picture. He puts another picture up and people are going, well, is he not a member of the Chiefs? He also made a comment, which I thought was interesting, about the fines being built up. And he indicated, no, that's not the case. So I don't know what that means, whether the Chiefs are going to cover it with a new deal. But listen, for me, Chris Jones is valuable. But the Chiefs have, they've got contract issues coming up. And this has to fit. Now, does he want there's his new emoji. Love the roses. Not sure, what's going on there or what that means. Maybe that's an homage to Frank Clark. Maybe that's something between the two of them because they're still close. But, do I think something gets done? I think so. The issue with Chris is the Chiefs, like I mentioned, have to pay other guys. Jarvis Sneed. They've got Humphrey. They've got Smith. They've got, other guys that might need contracts down the road at some point. But, for now, Chris Jones' cap number is $28 million, which is a lot of iron, as my grandfather used to say.
Right. Uh-huh.
And if he really wanted, one of the things was he wanted Frank Clark to come back. Well, if he'd have redone his deal, then maybe they had the room to get Frank. I think it's possible that maybe Carlos Dunlop returns if they get something done with Chris. Right now, the Chiefs have no cap space, and they really don't have a lot of moves to move some money. And but they have to look ahead. And Brett Veach has always looked, 2-3 years down the cap. Now, one thing that I think people have to remember is we're kind of past that COVID period of the salary cap where they really didn't raise it all that much. That I think it's going to be significantly higher over the next 2 years to kind of make up for that. I think it's a way of, making it more fair for the players and some of these teams that have been cash strapped. But, the Chiefs manage their cap well. They're smart, but, they didn't pay Tyreek Hill. And honestly, I wouldn't have paid him either. That was a ridiculous amount of money. The haul they got completely changed their 2022 roster that, by the way, won a Super Bowl without Tyreek Hill. Had more yards, more touchdowns, more points. I think we're past that. I think Tyreek still misses playing in Kansas City. There's no question in my mind about that. But I think for right now, Brett Veach has to say, okay, it's got to be the right number to make it work. But you got to get in here first, and maybe he's on his way.
And I think they keep Chris Jones, but as you can see, if it ain't Patrick Mahomes or it ain't Travis Kelce, they are going to go younger, like they did with the cornerbacks last year. They went younger. Mm-hmm. The wide receivers this year, they going younger. I think that's a smart move. If you have a generation talent like a Patrick Mahomes and a generation talent like a Travis Kelce, and that combination is mixed together is amazing.
Yep.
And then you have Chris Jones that's, asking for this lump sum of money, and Tyreek Hill was asking for that lump sum of money. We see how that went.
Yeah, it didn't work out very well, but it was a good haul for the Chiefs, so it did work out to what aspect.
So I just hope that everything works out for both parties. I hope Chris Jones is here for the long term, not just for that 1 year. But Chiefs fans, get yourself ready, get yourself prepared that he probably won't be here. He probably be get traded. But if I'm the Chiefs, if I'm Brett Veach in that moment, if I'm him, I'm going for like an Aaron Donald or somebody, a swap and trade to get some first round picks or get all I can for Chris Jones right now while he's on the high horse at the top of the list right now. What you say?
Yeah, I think so too, because there's some teams out there that could use a guy like that and have a lot of cap space. Detroit Lions, they've got a ton of money. They probably would give him the Aaron Donald contract. I'm not saying that that's going to happen. The Cleveland Browns have been aggressive, but he's going to want to go to a team that can win. And that's a thing that makes me pause about, some of the stuff that he posts and some of the cryptic stuff that he does is he's made it very clear that he doesn't want to play in another uniform. He wants to play for the Chiefs, retire cheap. Look at him, the way he bantered with Patrick Mahomes after the Super Bowl in the locker room. Let's go repeat. Let's build a dynasty. Where is he going to do that anywhere else? I mean, if the Chiefs are at the 26 million range and he's asking for 30, at the end of the day, you get your 30, you go to another team. Then what? Are you going to win another Super Bowl? I mean, the
Right.
Chiefs have positioned themselves because they are getting younger at certain positions and they're rebuilding the roster every year, unlike when they tried to go back to back before, and that clearly didn't work because they didn't really do anything. They kind of learned their lesson. They got beat by the Bengals and they came back and said, okay, we got to do things differently. And then they had the best draft class they've ever had. So that's the problem. You know, you got to look ahead. But for Chris, do I want to play for another team that's a contender when the Chiefs, like I said, position themselves right now as, 50-50? They're going to have a chance to win the Super Bowl better than anybody else. They've got the best quarterback in the league, the best quarterback we've seen in probably 30 years, 20 years, may go down as the best ever. Will he get Tom Brady? Will he get Tom Brady's trophies? Who knows? Remains to be seen. But, Andy Reid, Matt Nagy, Patrick Mahomes are going to give you 30-plus points a game, and the defense is going to be better as long as Chris is there. Maybe they gave up 20. Can he do that in another uniform, in Detroit or, I don't think the Chiefs would trade him to the AFC, so I think it would definitely have to be an NFC team. And obviously Chris has to sign off on it, and his agent, the Katz brothers, do too. And again, is this contract holdout the fact that he's okay to take a little bit less money like Patrick has and Travis has? Frank redid his contract last year to save money. Other players have done that so they can keep the overall team together. Or does he want to have that Aaron Donald money and say, the heck with it?
Right.
I don't know.
You gotta look at it too, because you got to pay. You're gonna pay Chris Jones, then you're gonna have to pay Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, L'Jarius Sneed, Nick Bolton. The list goes on.
Yeah.
So and them are more younger players and core players that the Chiefs need to help their team grow. I'm not gonna say they don't need Chris Jones to help their team grow or make their team stay at that championship level. But what I am saying is, if you can get the bang for the buck, why he's still young and football age, they say probably getting older. But if you can get the bang for the buck for Chris Jones and trade him and get more picks and get a younger player that will fill that position, heck, I'm all for it. Long as it's not touching that man, Patrick Mahomes. As long as it ain't touching nobody around him. So if I'm going to pay Chris Jones, I'm still, yes, I will maybe. But if not, I'm going to take that money. I'm going to put it in Trey Smith, Creed Humphrey. I don't see the Chiefs going to pay L'Jarius Sneed because they draft all them corners.
Yeah,
I don't see that happening.
I think the writing's on the wall on that one. Plus, he hasn't played the practice. I don't know what his situation is right now, whether obviously he's hurt, but he is in a contract year. Willie Gay's in a contract year. Those might be two guys. I mean, they did pick up Leo Chanel for like $2.5-3 million with bonus upside up to $5 million, and not Leo Chanel, Drew Tranquil. And Drew's a beast, man. I was shocked not only that he signed for that little money, but the Chargers didn't do more to get him. But the Chargers are in cap hell and going to be in horrific cap hell next year. They're going to have to unload just because they gave Justin Herbert that contract. But again, you have to eye the future, but you also have to eye the fact that the Chiefs' only goal is winning the Super Bowl. Nothing else matters. Okay, the regular season is just basically a stepping stone practice to move forward to get ready for the postseason. And the postseason, when the lights come on, and you see Patrick Mahomes beat Jacksonville, Cincinnati, and Philadelphia on one leg, basically.
Right.
With you look back at the Chiefs.
They're gonna say that didn't happen. They're gonna say that didn't happen. The Eagles fans gonna say, "Oh, they didn't happen. It was a turf. It was a field. It was a field."
Yeah. Did you see him outrun Riddick on that 23-yard scramble? Riddick was gassing for air running behind him. Got the picture of the Chiefs Blitz logo out there. There's Riddick right behind him. He's like, oh man, I can't catch this dude. I'm on one leg. But again, that's what this is all about for Chris. He's got to decide. He's got to make that decision. Do I or don't I? Is it money? Is it legacy? Whatever it is. But, I don't know. I'm terrible at math, but what's the difference between 26 million, 28 million, and 30? I don't know. Probably the amount of fines he's going to accumulate, for missing mini camp and training camp. And if he misses the first game on Sunday, he misses his game 1 week check or game check for week 1. If he misses 3, that's a lot of money. It could be in the 3, 4, 5 million range. I don't really know. And it doesn't matter. It's not my coin, but he has to make that decision. And based on the Instagram photo of him at the airport, maybe he's heading into Kansas City tonight. Maybe he'll be up at St. Joe tomorrow. Who knows? He likes to play a little bit with the fans. But I will never discredit the man, how much he loves Kansas City, how much he loves playing for the Chiefs. The Chiefs, took a chance on him, and he was great from day one. I will never forget his very first game in Kansas City in a preseason game, and he was dominating. And I just, the hug with the commish, on draft night, you can tell this guy cares. And I don't think he's going to turn a blind eye to what he has in Kansas City for a couple of $1 million here or there. Maybe he will, but I guess we'll probably find out in the next 24 to 48 hours kind of where things sit.
So if one more scenario, if I'm the Chiefs, Jefferson, he didn't sign over there. He didn't sign with the Vikings yet. His contract gonna be coming up.
Yeah.
Do you send him to Minnesota and get that wide receiver? You get Jefferson. You get Jefferson and a couple picks.
But what's it going to cost you to sign? What's it going to cost you to sign Jefferson?
He's younger though. He's younger.
He may be younger, but they're contract shopping or swapping. And then what kind of draft pick compensation? Usually when a high-profile person goes for another high-profile person, there's some modest picks along. But generally speaking, the agents say, whoa, wait a minute. I don't know who his agent is. I don't know if it's Drew Rosenhaus. He's got a lot of wide receivers. If it's Drew, he's going to say, no. I want my contract. I want my money before we'll show up for this trade. Listen, who knows? Again, there are some really good teams that in the NFC that could use a Chris Jones who are, let's be honest, it's a lot easier to get to the Super Bowl in the NFC than it is in the AFC. I mean, the AFC is stacked, the Chiefs, the Jets, sort of the Jets. I'm not quite there with Aaron Rodgers yet. You got the Bengals, the Bills, are going to maybe struggle a little bit this year. So you're in a situation where, and you're in the NFC, I mean, you basically got the 49ers and the Eagles, and you can't really convince me there's a whole lot of NFC teams that can reach the mountain. Maybe the Rams come back a little bit, but I just don't. I'm not sure I see it yet. But for the Chiefs, if they get a crazy offer, I mean, they'll definitely look at it, and they won't be afraid to pull the trigger. Clearly, they did that with Tyreek Hill. So I think looking forward in the crystal ball, if a scenario like Jefferson pops up, I think you seriously.
Can you imagine? But can you imagine?
Fan base will go crazy.
they will go crazy after that. But with Chris Jones, it's going to be a thing to watch this season. Just see how long this linger on, see how long this lasts throughout the season and throughout the preseason. I don't even see it lasting into week one. I see them getting something done. If not, then we know the writing is on the wall. Yeah, the writing will be on the wall. And Chris, Chris will talk to the media eventually because he likes talking to the media. In the right setting, and he'll be honest with people. He'll let people know what he thinks, and maybe it's a good thing for the fans because what if this is agent driven? I've been around a long time. I know a lot of agents. I've seen a lot of crazy contract stuff. I see a lot of what these teams try to do, and they all have an agenda and they all have cap responsibility. And the Chiefs, the cap was mismanaged under John Dorsey. It was a mess, and it took Brett Veach almost two full seasons after he took over to kind of get the cap reset, and they were hamstrung on trying to get some people and to get some more players in here, and it showed on the field. They couldn't make the adjustments because they didn't have the space because Dorsey mismanaged so many contracts. The Eric Berry contract, the Justin Houston contract, signing these guys too late. And I think what Veach has learned is it's not a matter of when you sign him, it's just signing the guy for the right price. So listen, can they pay him $30 million a year? Sure. They could heavily back end it. They can give him $90 million or $100 million in guarantees, and they can structure it for 4 years. So it looks like 25 million or 26 or whatever it is. They can do all those things. I think right now for the Chiefs, the number matters to fit the future of the cap. And, that's what's ultimately going to decide if this gets done. Now,
to me, hence the wild card is Patrick Mahomes calling, Travis Kelce calling,
Right.
Andy Reid calling. All Andy'd have to do is get on the phone and not say a word. And I think Chris would probably get the message. But, you listen, these guys all support each other during contract stuff. But you remember last time when Mahomes signed his big deal, he told Chris, I left some money on the table for you to sign. And he ultimately got a 4-year, $80 million deal. And now he wants a 4-year deal worth, 100 million plus. And he wants to get much higher than the second guy on the totem pole and as close to Aaron Donald as possible. Again, I can't blame him. I can't blame him at all.
And what a lot of people are missing is they said he wanted to be paid the highest person the highest at his position. He said he just wanted to be paid the second. He didn't ever say he never came out and said I want to be paid the highest at my position. He said I want to be the second, at least the second highest paid. Because he knows that it costs to be costs to be the boss. It costs to be a champion. It costs to be all that. If you're gonna build a dynasty, you got to have everybody on the same page. Meaning, mind wise, schedule wise, money wise. Everybody got to be on the same page. You can't have that person want to be a cookie monster and eat all the cookies out of the cookie jar and don't leave nothing for everybody else. But
you gotta have some crumbs for the other guys too, because I tell you, even the grunt guys on the roster, the guys that make up, roster spots 30 to 53, a lot of those guys aren't making a ton of money, probably even at the 20 mark. And, you've got to build a roster that can be competitive. And again, Beach is a master now. He's figured it out. Go young, cornerback, wide receiver. I mean, this wide receiver class, I get all the love for Hopkins. Why would he go to Tennessee if it wasn't for the money?
Right.
Makes no sense.
Come on now. Everybody was crying. They wanted him here on the Chiefs.
I ain't paying him that kind of money. Chiefs made him a fair offer, made him a juju offer, and then Beckham goes and signs with the Ravens with a guy who he's a running quarterback first, and a passing quarterback doesn't exist. Maybe he changes this year. I'm not a Lamar Jackson guy. I mean, everybody knows that who's read my stuff, and I don't think he's going to take him to the Super Bowl. I think there's a lot of other reasons we can get into, down the road. But I think you have to look at all those things, and Veach is smart. He knows what he's doing, and they may internally be worried about Chris and getting him done. He is under contract. He's going to play for the $28 million. And if the Chiefs can't get a deal done, they're stuck. They're going to have to try to find some cap money to get a defender in here. I think that'd be a good choice. Maybe they look for another veteran receiver if these receivers struggle over the first 3 preseason games. But right now, without getting something done for Chris, it's going to be very difficult for Brett Veach to manipulate the roster and add veterans like he always likes to do before the start of the season.
Okay. Before we close off, what is your take that you want to what you looking for to watching in this preseason? My take is I'm looking for Justin Ross to see if the hype is real, because I've been calling it for the longest. What are you looking for?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on Justin Ross. I did a piece on him on the ChiefsBlitz.com website, and here's what I say about Justin. I've seen a lot of camp superstars in my day. And when the lights come on, they're not superstars anymore. They take a step back. With Justin Ross, I mean, all the talent in the world. If he wasn't injured, would have been a top 8 pick in the draft. Nobody even hinted or showed any desire to draft him. He had a couple of choices. He wanted to come to Kansas City. He shows up last year, makes some great plays in the OTA sessions. And then they kind of decide, hey, let's get the foot healed and the ankle. Let's make sure everything's working right. Take a year off. He started to post videos, and I'd heard he struggled in OTAs a little bit. But man, when he got into mini camp and he got into training camp, I mean, he has that Randy Moss-esque ability, but he hasn't played a football game in 22, 21 months. That's a long time to play contact, to not have contact football. So, listen, to me, he's one. I hope they give Rashee Rice a little bit of time. I want to see the receivers. I want to see Sky Moore. I want to see Denaric Prince. I want to see what he can do. Nick Jones, one of the corners that could be that guy that replaces Snead next year. He's been terrific in camp. And I also think it's good for the backup quarterback, Blaine Gabbert, to get some quality time, show what he can do. We all knew what we had in Chad Henne. God, we love Chad Henne. Without him, we're not winning 2 Super Bowls. I can guarantee you that. So I think that's important because I think that's a big jump for this football team. You know, and I want to see that. I want to see how Matt Nagy interacts with his offense because he's a lot more hands-on with all the positions, whereas I don't think Eric was as hands-on. Eric Bieniemy was as hands-on like that, and I think that's going to be important. So listen, just don't lay an egg, don't get hurt. The turf in New Orleans is pretty good, so they should be fine. Now next week at Arizona, I'm terrified that the Chiefs would even schedule a game there, but it won't be the same field conditions. It won't be the same, watering system. There'll be a lot of things that are going to be different, so I'm sure it'll be okay. But for me, I just want them to come out of it healthy. Maybe look at the roster a little bit and say, okay, here's 45 to 53 or 40 to 53. We got maybe 15 or 18 guys that can fit in this mold. Let's get them ready for game 2, see what they can do. And obviously for Patrick Mahomes, get a series, maybe 2 series in, score a touchdown, throw the ball to Kelsey once, and just let's see what he can do with all these young receivers. Because I think collectively, and you had the experience of MVS, that this is a good receiving core for what the Chiefs are looking to do offensively. And again, Matt Nagy is going to bring a new flavor. I think the Chiefs are going to run the ball more. I think you're going to see more sweeps and pulls. Now, you probably won't see him in the preseason games because the Chiefs don't want to give too much away. But I think Nagy is a brilliant offensive mind who I think ultimately will be the head coach of the Chiefs whenever Andy retires. So, I mean, those are kind of things. Defensively, I want to see, again, I want to see the young corners. I want to see the guys who played well last year kind of make a few good plays and get some good time. Linebacker is going to be interesting for me too. They've got, I think they've got some young guys they want to take a look at. And of course, the biggest question of all is the new revamped offensive line. You'll probably see the starters in the first period, but there's some quality backups. For the first time that I can remember in Kansas City, certainly with Andy Reid, they've got backups at tackle, guard, and center that, have some ability. Nick Allegretti being one of them. And he's a mauler, terrific in the run, a little iffy in the pass game. And so I think they have to look at that and see what these young guys do. But overall, just come out of it. I don't care if you win or lose. I don't care if you're 0-3 in the postseason. No major injuries. Come out unscathed and put up at least a good showing when the starters are in and go up against their old buddy, David Carr.
Well, I'm looking forward to it too, man. I'm looking forward to just everybody just lead the field how they came, everybody healthy. And looking to see if Justin Ross had that connection because they said he'd been sleeping on Patrick Mahomes' couch. There's a rumor. That's what they say. But
well, I mean, I think when you look at it, I don't care where you sit, as long as you own, as long as you learn the offense, I'm totally fine with it. So, I meant Derek Carr, not David Carr. I always get the two of them mixed up. David's an interesting guy too. I love his take though. But yeah, Derek's knows the Chiefs pretty well. They know him pretty well. I think it's a terrific place for him. I'm excited for him and the opportunity. And that'll definitely be good for him to get a change of atmosphere because God knows it was pretty toxic in Raiderland and probably be toxic again this year in Raiderland. So he was pretty wise to get out when he could.
Okay. So what you want to tell everybody again before we close out?
Yep. Again, I want to thank everybody who's reached out. I mean, just recording the show here tonight. I mean, I've gotten 5 or 6 text messages from people who are just kind of finding out. So again, we're not going to duplicate what we did at Word Paint Illustrated. We're going to kind of take it to a different level. Again, ChiefsBlitz.com. Check us out on Twitter, at ChiefsBlitz, at Chiefs Insider. Go to our YouTube channel. The show will be up shortly. And just kind of like it. Let's build our subscriber base up. Again, if anybody wants to get involved, all they got to do is reach out. They know how to get a hold of me, either on Facebook or social media, Twitter. Love to have you. We're just going to build a great team, have a lot of fun. And hence, I appreciate you. You're the man. You're going to be in charge of all this production nightmare and working with this old dog who doesn't understand how any of this thing works. So I got my camera, I got my earbuds and my microphone, and I can see you without my glasses. So I guess I count this as a win.
Okay, man. So we want to thank everybody for tuning in and watching this, and go subscribe and check us out, on all the social media platforms. Again, we want to thank everybody for that's going to help build this thing, and we can't wait to see this thing grow. We want to see all the Chiefs Kingdom come over and enjoy themselves and bring back the old feeling, your old spirit of what you loved about the Chiefs, and we can all have it here on this page. So with that said, we are out, and we'll see you guys Sunday after the game. Have a great one.